Hey, it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 3 of Mompreneurs, where every week we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are simultaneously amazing moms, killing it as both a business mogul and a parent, listening to life stories and inspiring advice so we too can follow in their footsteps. Now, being calm, cool, and collected as a mom or as an entrepreneur is not always the easiest, but our next guest has the discipline and the training to help us all make it make sense. And that's actually what she does as a career. Pilin Anice is an inspiration. She's helping moms improve their lives and help their families with the 3 M's: meals, movement, and meditation. Now, all of this is based on her 20-year journey of nourishing herself from the inside out, from the ground up. We are so excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I'm excited to talk with you today.
So before we get all up into your entrepreneurship, let's talk about the mom part of mompreneur. Let's talk about your household. Who all makes you a mompreneur?
Yeah, so I have 2 children. I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son who are just,
Oh,
yes, they're in completely different ends of development at this time. I feel like their entire lives. So it's always interesting. There's always new discoveries happening around here, I'll say.
that's an understatement. Okay, well, which I have a 12-year-old son and I have a 10-year-old daughter. So they might be close in
Mhm.
spirit, but there are also always new discoveries happening every day. Isn't that life as a mompreneur?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And that's the gift. That's the gift and that's the journey. We give thanks, is what I say. We give thanks.
Yeah, we give thanks. I'm being I'm being silly. But which came first for you, motherhood or entrepreneurship?
Motherhood came first. Motherhood came first. And my journey actually as an entrepreneur began after really the impetus for becoming an entrepreneur was becoming a mother. And that I was, again, a performing artist first. So I attended Howard University, got a BFA, moved to New York City, and worked as an actress, a performing actress professionally for about 2 or 3 years. And then I got pregnant. I also got married in there too. And then I got pregnant. And it's like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And so I ended up taking a job in corporate America for health insurance benefits. As you know, as an artist, you don't really have access to quality health care through the union. So I opted to go and get a job on Wall Street as a trader's assistant. Had my daughter, got the little perks, the wonderful salary, the maternity leave, all the things. And then everyone says, you need to keep that job. That's a good job. It's a real job because, of course, theater is not a real job to a lot of people back in that time. And I listened for a season. I listened for a season for about a year until my daughter was 2 and a half. And then I have to get out of here. This is not good for my spirit. There has to be something else I can do that allows me to live and show up better for her as a mother, be happy with myself, that doesn't require me doing a job that I don't like. And so it was from that, and also understanding my purpose is to connect and inspire and uplift people. And I do that through theater, but I discovered a new way to do that was also to share my wealth of knowledge that I have around nourishing myself and caring for myself. Because one of the first things that I learned at Howard when I was there is that as an artist, our body is really it's our instrument. And so it was a requirement and actually absolutely paramount that we care for ourselves in that way. So I had to make sure my body was on point because if the body's not working, we're not booked. We can't do the job. So for me, I had to show up and take care of myself. And so I had been doing that for years. And people were always seeking out advice to me, like friends, family, around wellness. And so that was my realization while sitting at that desk, at that trader's desk. Like that's something else that I absolutely love doing that allows me to stay true to my purpose, to connect, inspire, and to uplift people, not from a stage, but also from another place, from another point of view, which is sharing my love of health, wellness, and movement with them. And so from there, I got a training. I did my yoga teacher training. I also became a health coach while I was at that job, then quit that job. And that was in 2010. And I've been doing this work ever since.
And see, when you're talking about a health coach, for so many of us growing up, what are you talking about? There's a basketball coach, there's a cheerleading coach,
Yeah.
the health coach. What are you talking about? This was your journey too, right? You had no idea that health was even something that you should actively think about.
Right. Yeah. So this is a great question, and especially being in 2010, and you think about this time of our culture, health coach wasn't really something that people had heard of or even knew existed. And so I did a lot of research sitting at that trading desk around this health coaching thing discovered it. And a health and wellness coach is essentially a person who allows and supports you on your health and wellness journey. So a person who's listening, who understands what your needs are and supports you in tracking yourself so that you find optimal health. And this health that we're seeking to find is holistic. So it's all elements of your life, whether it be food, whether it be the movement, getting your mental health right, also thinking about the quality of your relationships, because all of that's going to impact your health overall, wholly. So a health coach is a person that supports and guides you on that journey so that you can find what health looks like, what wellness looks like for you. And in that time, I'll tell you, Nancy, people didn't know what a health coach was. It was quite a new field, I would say.
It was
And
before
now,
Instagram, right?
this is pre-Instagram, this is
It was
pre-social. We're
before
not
the
posting.
Rona. Yeah,
Listen,
no, you were just Googling yourself out of curiosity, but most people were still where you were growing up, which is that iceberg is a vegetable, especially when it's covered in salad dressings and croutons. That's a healthy situation right there.
it's a healthy situation, and that's what we learned. That's what we had. And so there was this opportunity, this invitation to learn that health is more than that. And in that season, again, no hashtags, no Instagram searches. It was all about going to the library, doing research, and really studying, becoming a student of health and understanding what that actually looks like in a deeper level.
So who inspired you? So this is very important. We're like the health coach is an aspect of what she does and how she helps people. She specifically loves helping moms, which is so wonderful about this because we're let's just be real, we're not taking care of ourselves the best. Most of us don't do what we're supposed to because we're too busy giving it all to the family. We're all working on it. The internet has told us to work on it. That's honestly why we need a coach, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But who inspired you? I know you inspired you, but was there someone who really said, you know what? Because everyone else is telling you keep that job, keep them benefits. Was there someone who was just like, you can do this. You can be a mompreneur.
That's a great question. That's a really wonderful question. I want to just say something to your point too, just as you said, supporting moms. And I want to just highlight that another role of a health coach, especially in this season, is that it's the information age. There is no lack of knowledge on the benefits of kale, on why we need rest. We all see that everywhere. Am I right? So
You're
a health
right.
coach again is a person who allows you to figure out how to weave that into your life. What does that actually look like for me beyond reading about it? Because I think we all have the knowledge. We know, and if we actually begin to listen to our bodies and trust our bodies, we actually know what works for us. And we have to also understand that it's not one size fits all. What's working for me is not going to work for you. You're going to have to find out what that is. And a health coach supports you in discovering what that is. Now, to your question about what inspired me, I really love to say that my spirit is very strong, and there was a part of me that just refused to sit there and really, because I'm from Flint, Michigan originally. I'll just say that. It's like I didn't move from Flint, Michigan to New York City to sit here on Wall Street. That's not why I'm here. That's not my purpose. This is not what I should be doing with my life. And I was clear on that. And it was that really guided me. But I'll say that my husband was a big supporter. My parents also supported me pretty well as well. And also just the women around me. I have a lot of really powerful women around me, my aunts, in addition to my mom, who supported me and who also gave me an understanding of my value and what I could contribute to support them, and actually celebrated that. And that was inspiring to me and really was the impetus to allow me to say, I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to fully commit to this work and trust that it will unfold in a beautiful way. And it did.
Well, and but it's not that simple. It's not like you're just like, I am going to quit my job and be a health coach. And then
Yes.
you put a little shingle out that says a health
Yes.
coach. Or it's
Yes.
not like you're also a yoga teacher. It's not like you
Yes.
say, I like yoga. I watch all the YouTube videos. I am now going to start teaching yoga. You have to put in a lot of work.
Girl. Mhm. That part, absolutely. Absolutely, there's work. There was work involved. And I think one of the beautiful things about me personally is that I really embrace that I'm a multi hyphenate. There's a lot that I do. So in my business, when I think about myself as a mompreneur, it's not just the health coaching that supports me. It's also the movement business that I have. So I'm teaching yoga, I'm teaching dance. I'm also an actress. So I'm also a commercial actress and do a lot of brand partnerships as well. So all of those things together are what supports and what keeps my business afloat. And yes, it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of shifting and moving and navigating all these different silos. And I think one of my biggest challenges starting out was thinking that I had to keep them separate, that everything had to work separately. But in a sense, they all work together and they support each other. And that was a part of my journey, was realizing that and coming to that place of embracing that so that I can allow them to kind of buoy each other and allow the business to be successful.
I love it. I love you are a multi-hyphenate, right? Because you
Yes.
have to be. I mean, we talk a lot about here as a mom. If you're not going to have a 9 to 5, you need to have multiple streams of income because you never know which one of these things is going to hit, right? So I like to ask everyone about what I refer to as the hierarchy of hustles, the hustle hierarchy. So meaning, okay, for example, you teach classes, you're a commercial actress, you're a professor, you are a coach, you do workshops, you do brand collaborations. You are not just a yoga teacher, but you're a yoga professor. What is the hierarchy? What are the most important parts of your business that bring in the bulk of your income right now?
Every season is different, Nancy, and that's the beauty of it. And I think one of for me is understanding that there's always this ebb and flow, that each season again shows up differently. And so at one point in time, it might be the commercial that's really moving. But if you can imagine during the pandemic in 2020, when everything shut down, that industry completely was on pause. Then there had to be a shift in where I focused my energy. Because before that season, I'd say that a lot of my focus was on the on camera commercial work. And that's where a lot of my income was streaming in from. But that all went away. And so I had to completely shift and pivot like we all did and figure out how can I continue to generate income. And in this kind of the context and how things are looking now. And I was able to do that. It was again a challenge, a big learning. I definitely took a workshop or two to support me in figuring out how to create courses and how to create streams of income through connecting with people via Zoom and online and that capacity. So in this season right now, there's really a combination, which has been really beautiful, where all of the things are happening. I think I'll say the pandemic ended, I've kind of stayed focused on the yoga and the wellness aspect because that's what people are really needing right now. And again, my intention is really to be of service in my work. So yes, it's a business, but it's service is why I'm doing this work. And so that's what the need is right now for the collective. So that's how I'm showing up.
And one of the things that I think is really important is that not only are you a yoga instructor, but you're a professor of yoga. You teach people how to teach people
Yeah.
yoga. Let's talk about you as a presence, as an African American woman, being someone in a position of authority in such an important aspect of wellness, in such an important facet of taking care of one's body as a yoga instructor, as a meditator.
Yeah. So how that is very important. It's very important. And I realize that how I am showing up and my presence in this industry really matters, especially when it comes to other people seeing themselves, especially women of color. And that's one of the reasons why I started to teach others to become a yoga teacher trainer, is because I knew that my very first yoga teacher, I'll just say, was at Howard. So my first class was during undergrad in the dance department, which I just love that because it's very unusual that your first yoga experience, especially around this country and the culture that is very much white dominant, that my first teacher was a Black woman, and it's because it was at Howard. And that really made a difference. And when I hear people, when they have their experience of yoga, oftentimes they don't see themselves represented, and that'll allow them to feel shut out. Like, it's not for me. That's not for me. I'm not flexible. I don't have this. I don't have that. And it keeps them from this experience. And so I know that when I am present, and people have told me this countless times, whether it be a yoga teacher training, whether it be a retreat, whether it be a workshop of any kind, people will say, "Thank you for being here. I signed up because of your picture. When I saw that afro, I knew that was for me. And I'm so glad that I did."
Well, and that is so powerful, and not just people who are outside of your family, but also within. How do you think your mompreneurship, how do you think your yoga teaching, your health coaching impacts your family and what they think they can do and what their values are?
I love that question. So there's so many yogic philosophies just in terms of just staying present, staying grounded and connected to the breath that you can imagine really can serve itself here as a mom and with children. Of course, we're all working through and it doesn't always come through the way we love it to, but it's a practice. And the beautiful thing about yoga is that it teaches us to begin again. It teaches us to begin again. It also teaches us to move and operate from a place of love and compassion for where we are, to give ourselves grace for where we are. And so when I bring in that philosophy to myself as a mother, when I offer that to myself and also extend that to my children, my 16-year-old teen daughter, who you can imagine is moving through all the things that we
Oh
all
my
moved through
gosh.
when we were 16.
All the things, but with can we just talk? Your 16-year-old daughter's moving through all the things, but with a mother who practices meditation. Can we all just have a moment? Because my husband's a meditator. He meditates twice a day for over an hour each time, and bless y'all with your ability to work through things not on the person.
Yes.
It's incredible. I appreciate
Yes.
you.
Yes. That meditation allows you to connect to that space in between so that you learn to respond and not react, which is a gift. And it's a practice. And we all can do it, Nancy.
Oh well, I laugh. This is not about me,
I love
but
it. Girl, I'm gonna
no,
get
I laugh.
we gonna get
No,
you on a cushion.
no, I have had. I actually really appreciate what you do because I used to really be into yoga when I was in college. Ironically, we both experienced yoga. Well, no yoga happening in Martinsville, Virginia. There is now,
Mhm.
but when I was growing up, well, no yoga, and I would go to this women's gym, and I had a yoga teacher who did not have an afro. And you couldn't tell me anything because, I'm black. I'm living my best life. I'm like in these streets. I'm doing my poses. Everything is so extra, right? Because that's how sometimes we do. And, the instructor's going by and correcting us. And I'm really here to impress. I'm having a great time. And she just looks at me and instead of understanding where I'm coming from, who I am, what my background is, she's just like, the gods do not like arrogance. And I never felt comfortable going back to that class.
Hmm.
Where I feel going to your class, you would you would chuckle. You might correct me, or you might say, "This is not about you being so extra. It's about the poses are about something else." But there was no there was no familiarity, and for a while, it really took me out. I mean, I never got back to it like I used to, but I think about that anytime I go to a yoga class, and it just shows how important it is to have someone like you, and how representation matters, not just from the positive perspective but also the negative.
Right.
I feel like our interactions would not have been so contentious.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that share. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a definitely, when you think about just being witnessed and how someone responds to you and the language and the tone at which they use and how that can impact someone's experience. And then you're saying that you never came back to that class again. Is that
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I definitely never went to her class. I did go
Hmm.
back to
Sure.
yoga, but
Yeah.
I was never able to get into it.
Hmm.
Like I used to love it, and I loved it so much, but that is neither here nor there. The point of it is, though, that you were introduced in such a comfortable way, right? You had mentors throughout that believed in you and shepherded you for who you were. And that's invaluable. And that's kind of what you do now with your workshops and your coaching and your teachings and your trainings. The goal is to, as a lot of mompreneurs I speak to say, would you say to network down and across? Bringing more people into the fold. That's why you could do many things, but you choose to teach to inspire, to grow the network of people who want to take a class from someone like you.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the intention for me, like I mentioned earlier, is to really inspire and connect with people and connect them to their highest good. Because there's so many things that are happening, especially for us as moms, the busyness that takes us away from connecting to ourselves and actually learning and remembering, I'll even say, how to care and nourish ourselves. And if I can be any support, like provide even a modicum of support for someone on that journey, then I'm just so grateful.
When it comes to your journey, helping others with their journey, what is a milestone that you can recall being really excited and proud of?
For myself personally,
Yes.
a milestone. Oh my goodness. A milestone that I am really proud of. I'll say, I think I mentioned earlier that there was always this. initially there was almost a separation between all the things that I do. And I felt like I couldn't talk about one. I couldn't talk about yoga in a theater space, or I couldn't talk about wellness if or I couldn't talk about being an actress to someone who's here to take yoga from me, because then they're not going to take me seriously. So there was this thought that I had to keep everything separate. And there's also a belief system that I had around, for being an artist, we are taught that artists don't make any money. We're starving artists, and that we don't have potential to really generate income. And I also had a belief system around my husband should be the provider, and I didn't necessarily have to be generating a certain amount of income. So I had a couple limiting beliefs that I needed to really break through to find my success and really settle in and find my footing as an entrepreneur, as a mompreneur. And those were two things that I was able to overcome. Some limiting beliefs. The first one I would say is really understanding that I don't need to separate all the things that I do. I can be wholly who I am and share all the things and allow them to support each other, because they are so very connected. And also to do a lot of work. It took a lot of work to unravel and dismantle the limiting belief that I wasn't going to make enough money, because I'm an artist or yoga teacher. We don't make any money in these fields. I needed to either be a lawyer, a doctor, or work on Wall Street to make any money. And that's simply not true. And it had to happen from me actually doing work and working with a coach myself to get to that place. And so that was, I would say, a really pivotal, impactful moment for me.
So the coach coaches, which is a very important
Absolutely.
aspect of this. And I think
Hmm.
people don't realize that no one is an island.
Right.
Definitely no mompreneur. You cannot do this alone. You don't have the tools.
Listen, listen. We are all students. We are all learning. I will say that I am not an expert at anything. I am learning, and I'm excited to share what I do know, but I'm always learning. And there's so much that we all have to share and learn from each other. And you have to be a perpetual student, in my opinion, and really embrace the greatness.
So, what is your advice to people who they might be listening to this on the job, wishing that they too could bust out and be free and work for themselves? Not saying that's easy, but there's a different way of living when you wake up and you plan your day versus the day is planned for you. What is your advice to people listening who want to be like you, who want to help others, who to use their gifts to provide for their family and to help others be their best self?
Thank you. Love this question, Nancy. Well, first off, I'm dramatic, obviously a theater person, so I definitely quit, stormed out. I quit. I'm done here. I don't
Oh no,
recommend.
Jesus, you didn't tell me that. I thought it was a graceful exit. Step one,
Oh, it
dramatic
was
is what I was
definitely
doing
it was.
it was the drama in the yoga class. That's what I feel like you would have gotten it. Because I was like, I'm in the
I
yoga
get
class. I'm in the yoga class. You can't tell me
it.
anything because I'm in a yoga class. But okay, I digress. Because I was trying to figure out what the wording is. Because I wasn't being ridiculous. I was just living my best yoga life. But,
Yeah,
so I thought it was a slow burn. You're at the job, slowly you build up your practice,
I
and
did
then one
that.
day you turn in your resignation.
Yes.
But no, no, no.
Yes, but
We had to be
it was
extra
a I'm
here.
out. It wasn't out. It was like I'm out of here. But I did do all the preparation. All the preparation happened in terms of anchoring myself and having the tools that I needed to have a business,
Was
to launch
anyone
a
at your
business.
job like, this is a stupid idea. You'll be back and you'll be sorry? Like the
No,
movies.
no one said that, and I'll tell you why. And this is one of the things that I'll tell you this, that it was dramatic in a few ways. But I worked on the trading floor with all white men. Imagine that. Okay. I was not seen. So that was a space where I did not feel seen. I would go to work and it felt like no one talked to me unless they needed something, something done. And so I was not seen. I didn't feel like I was treated as a person. So you can imagine someone coming from, I'll just say even an HBCU, having that experience of always being in camaraderie, being in community with people, having that experience was quite traumatic. And so there was this need to really remove myself from it. So the drama really was, and I'll just say another celebration for my family unit, for my network, for my community, is that I did my health coaching training while I was there, but the yoga teacher training happened afterwards. And I did that in Guatemala for 2 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
my husband and my parents took care of my 2-year-old daughter while I went to Guatemala to do this yoga teacher training. And I really had to reconnect with myself because, again, there was a lot of pain that I was showing up, not just as a mother, as a wife as well, that I needed to move through. and it happened in that time period. And so it was dramatic in that way as well. And that was something I definitely heard a lot of pushback from, to remove myself from the family, but I needed to do it. And so I did. And when I think about, I think what allowed me to do that is understanding the big picture. I understood that that 2 months of time was a very minimal amount of time, and was required for me to be the person that I needed to be to continuously show up in this relationship with my partner, as well as a mom, and with myself, most importantly.
And that's something that all of us want to be doing. Just like deuces, I'm out. But few can pull it off. So you're just like, for me, for my business, I gotta go to Guatemala for 2 months. Did it take a lot of convincing in your nuclear family? I don't care about the world because who cares? In your nuclear family, was your husband like, yeah, that's a great idea? Or did it take some convincing? Did we have to create a PowerPoint of why this is a great idea?
I think my husband at that time could see how miserable I was, that he was like, let's, is this what you need? Then do it, please. I'll hold it down. And he's always been supportive in that way. I'll hold it down. My parents also flew in to support. And I always tell my daughter, she doesn't remember it, of course. She has no memory of this
That's the
season.
best thing about toddlers. They don't know what's going on.
They don't know what's going on. But she was loved. She felt loved and cared for,
Yeah.
and that's what mattered in that season. But when you talk about other women, like how to inspire people, I think, again, I don't, not saying quit your job and leave in a dramatic way, or even go to Guatemala for 2 months. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that get in touch. What I suggest to folks is really get in touch with what you are here for. Get in touch with your why, get in touch with your purpose. Understand what your talents and your gifts are and how you want to share them. And you can create something, dream of something. You know, there's a quote, I'm reading right now a book called Imagination, and it starts with a quote from Toni Morrison that says, dream a little before you think. So dream a little. What are you dreaming of? And then think and create something magical, and trust yourself. Trust that you are here for a divine purpose, and move toward it. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it can be hard. Yes, there are people talking in the background. But when we learn to trust ourselves and move from the heart, then we are able to do magical things.
I love that.
It's
Oh my
true. I promise
goodness.
it's true. I know it might sound like what, but it's true. It really is true. And I'm a testament to that.
So talk about the testimony, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the how after taking that 2 months, you have a toddler, you leave your job, you like, I need to go to Guatemala, get this teaching training so I could be a yoga teacher. What was the aftermath? You come back, and was it all puppies and sunshine immediately?
Absolutely not.
But
Absolutely
because like
not. And
because you're because
I
quite
mean, I
frankly,
don't know
that's
how much
what
time. It absolutely was not. And that's, listen, that's not how life goes, right? It's not. I came back, and I was met with all sorts of challenges. All sorts of challenges. I don't think we have enough time for today. We might have to do episode 2. But there were so many challenges that I met, but I had tools from my practice. I had tools to move through them with grace, to understand that it is a process. There's an unfolding, and nothing worth having. Everything in life is you're going to have challenges. You're going to have waves. I always call them waves. And I say, I'm out here surfing. I'm out here surfing. The waves are moving, and I've got a surfboard, and my surfboard are my tools that I have. It's my breath. It's my value system. It's understanding my why so that I can continuously show up and surf these waves. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. And one of the waves that you have is it's not like one of the things that makes it difficult to be a mompreneur. Like it's interesting talking to women who started their business before having a child and who started their businesses after having a child because the waves aren't just your waves, it's everybody else's waves. It's waves that you're
Oh,
responsible for. And so one thing that I am intrigued by when you're talking about your waves, when you're talking about your businesses, when you're talking about the ways you help other people, some of the information that you have is so powerful. You know it's good for you. For example, when you stopped eating dairy, you now have a plant-based diet. When you stopped eating dairy, your acne went away. You know how to make yourself feel better. You take the time for you. How do you keep your kids on board with your plan? Like you said, 16. That's a tricky one. And same with your 9-year-old. How are they all in on health and wellness, or are they like, Mama, I want a milkshake?
yes.
I'm not
Yes.
going all dairy free like this.
Yes. And I love this question because Again, when we started this conversation, I shared that as a health coach, I really truly believe and know that what's right for me is not necessarily right for you. What's right for me is not necessarily right for my children. So I raised my children in this way. Yes, my pregnancies were plant-based. Yes, I raised them plant-based, and I also educated them on why. Here's why we're eating this. Here's the benefit from this. But this is your body. You get to decide how you want to care for it. Here's how I care for mine, and you get to care for yours how you like to. But here's what I'm recommending. This is the framework that I'm offering you. And I say that my 16-year-old is still plant-based. She knows that if she's at a party and someone offers pizza, girl, try it. Just try it. See how you feel. Maybe you feel good after the pizza. Maybe you don't, but you have to learn that for yourself because you need to learn about what's happening with your body. My 9-year-old son, my husband's not plant-based. So he's definitely exploring and finding all sorts of things. Like he eats a lot of things that I don't, and that's okay. I want them to know that have agency, to have some wisdom on how to care for their bodies, but also to know that ultimately they get to decide what they eat. And if you have a milkshake and your stomach hurts, maybe you had too much. What do you do next time? Do you have a little less? And that's giving them an opportunity to have agency over what they eat, to understand and be in touch with their own body's wisdom, as opposed to doing something because I told them so.
I think that's the best way to do it because otherwise they're just going to rebel. They're going to
Listen,
grow up and be like, aha, it's my
yeah.
time to just do all kinds of chaotic things.
No, yeah, you give them, you show them, here's what I do, here's the why. Here's why. So be conscious, make good decisions when it comes to your food. That's it.
I think it's important. And also, if everybody's not the same. In my household, is
No.
similar. We have two omnivores, a pescatarian and a vegetarian, with all kinds of different like restrictions, gluten, whatever. And similarly, we are just like everybody's different. I wouldn't go by what that person's doing necessarily for you. And I have informed you of the pros and cons of everything, including the things I do. I'm always just like, look, I'm an old lady. I'm 43 years old. I've lived my life. I'm telling you what I know, not necessarily what I do. I have receipts to let you know I tried. But life is long and it's okay to
Yeah.
be imperfect. You were imperfect. We're all imperfect, right? But you just
Yeah.
keep adding to the arsenal of information.
Yeah. And your perfection is not the goal. We want to feel good. You want to feel good. You want to be able to live fully. And we do that when we feel good. We can show up in all the ways. And what we're putting on our plate impacts that. So just awareness around that is so powerful. And then also this wisdom of understanding that it's always changing. And that's something I work with the moms that I work with, is that there's always a new season. Things are going to change. As I mentioned, those waves are going to flow. And the way that I'm caring for myself now is not how I cared for myself 15 years ago. Things have completely changed. So, yes, I'm plant based. I don't consider myself vegan anymore because I've had to add other things in that aren't necessarily vegan. Why did I add them in? Because I felt that my body, it's intuitive that I needed something else. And so, it's this always being in conversation and deep listening to the wisdom of your body, it's in knowing that, because sometimes we can become rigid. It's like, I only eat this, I do this, and I do this, and that's it. It's like, is that really serving you? Have you asked yourself that question?
All right, coach, I'm all in. Can you, we love to know different life mantras, business mantras. What are some words to live by that you can leave our listeners with?
Ooh, one thing I'll say, or there's two things I'll say. The first is to live courageously. The root of the word courage is from the heart. So I always think about living from the heart and walking a path of love. Everything that I do, I like to do it in love and share in love. And the other thing is, as a mom, is this too shall pass. This too shall pass, and that I meet everything with a graceful presence and with love and compassion. And I say that because as a mom, as you know, things are constantly shifting. Things are constantly shifting, and in those moments, they feel sometimes so challenging. I can say I just remember when I had a 1 year old and what was she 6? It felt like, oh my goodness, when is this gonna? I'm have all these people car seats. We got all these things happening at the same time, running here and there, and it was so challenging. But it passed. It passed, and now we're into a new season of challenge where it looks completely different. So if I can meet whatever presents itself from a place of grace, from a place of presence, because it is passing, it's moving so quickly, and I can't even believe my 16-year-old is 16 because it feels like yesterday that she was 2 years old and I was moving through all those challenges that I described. So it's just a gift to continuously to be present with our families, to witness their growth, their evolution. So I just say savor the moments, savor all of them because they are fleeting. So can we just be in them and be present?
That. Okay, I can't let you leave without participating in my favorite segment. It's called
Okay.
Mompreneurs Manifestation, where I ask each guest what's next for you or what you're hoping comes next and how we can help manifest success in this endeavor for you.
Oh, I love that question too, Nancy. Oh, you know,
I'm glad
right?
you're liking all the questions. I'm
I'm
feeling
loving
good.
all of these questions because I just
I
love, I'm a person who's again very present and I focus more on what's coming as opposed to thinking back and actually reflecting. I don't do a lot of reflecting. I'm not a journaler. It's actually something I want to start to do to actually process and digest all the things that have happened because I just keep moving a lot of the times. And speaking of keeping moving, one of the things that I'm working on right now is actually being still. And that's been it sounds like what, but especially as a mompreneur, we have to keep going. But I am in a season right now. Since January, I had some loss where my focus is really on resting and restoring. I've been going, like I mentioned, since 2010, straight through. So it's been 14 years of this mompreneur life. And I think because I love what I do, I didn't realize that I was exhausted and that I was tired. And also because again, I'm doing this work of wellness. So it's like there's a connection between what I do where it doesn't feel like it's taking energy, but it does. And so it's that recognition that
Coach
really
heal that
came.
self. Sometimes you got to take a moment. Sometimes maybe every 14 years you need your 2 month Guatemala, whatever that is
Come on.
psychologically.
Come on, exactly. You're with me, Nancy. That's exactly it. So that's where I am in this season right now. I'm also actually finishing up my cookbook as well, and which is M Good cookbook, which is to meals, movement, and meditation to nourish yourself wholly. So I have that also coming out. So I'm just taking time to be as still as possible. There's still things happening, but I'm not focused on any major projects right now.
I feel like you should. Well, I don't know what the title of the cookbook is. I want to find out, but I really feel like it since it's those three M's. It should be.
Yes, it is, Nancy. I love that you
Wait,
said that. Yes,
is it actually the title? Is it
that is
actually
the
called?
first part of the title. Yes, and then
Oh
there's
my
the
God! Is
subtitle.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay, I did not
We're on
swear on my life. I did not know. It just feels good. Because I saw your little three M's like buried in somewhere. I was like, I like these three M's. It brings me joy. Oh my goodness! What is
It
the full
brings
title
me
of your
joy
cookbook?
that you got that. I love it. I love
Mm.
it.
What is the full title of your cookbook?
So it's good meals, movement, and meditation to nourish wholly.
I love this. This is
Yeah,
hilarious. Oh my gosh, you're
yeah,
the best. Okay,
yeah.
tell us where everyone can find you and learn more about all the things you do and your upcoming cookbook.
Yeah, so you can find me at Pilin Anice across everything. So pilinanice.com is my website and also at Pilin Anice across social media platforms. And the cookbook will be coming soon. So please, there is a space where you can get on my mailing list to learn about all the things. There are some things happening for those of you who might be in New York City. I teach at Bryant Park every summer as well, Juneteenth this year. So if you happen to be around, that's going to be amazing. And yeah, there's always exciting things happening. My goal is to continue to cultivate community with folks and to just come together and share. I think it's so needed right now. So hopefully the listeners will come through and connect in some way.
I love that. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm glad that you're
Mm,
taking a moment to assess, to heal, and to be still. That's something so many of us, it's hard as a mom. I'm never
absolutely.
still. I don't, like, what does this mean? But I know
What
what
does
you
it even
mean.
look like, right? What does it even
What does it even
mean?
look like? And quite frankly,
Hmm.
does it simply mean mentally? You know? So how can we get rid of some of all this excess that I just spoke with someone and I love that they were saying that you want to try to clear your table because with all that junk you can't see everything that actually matters. So maybe it's just on the same page as
Yeah.
being still and not junky and just enjoying a cookbook called well, thank you for being here with us. You are the best.
Thank you, Nancy. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
And thank you everyone for listening and watching Mompreneurs. And just a reminder, a brand new episode will go live each Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can visit urban1podcasts.com to learn more. That's urban1podcast.com. Mompreneurs is brought to you by the Urban One Podcast Network and MadameNoire. Created, produced, and hosted by me, Nancy Wren. Executive produced by Sarita Wesley, Allison McGovna, and Tanya Hoffler-Moore. Produced and edited by Jiminique Miller.